boys standing behind me. You guys will stand real quick. These are some of the members here today. Some of them will be testifying later. Thank you. There have been several proposals that have presented to you coming out of the IFQ committee. I'm one of those members in that committee, but well, some of these proposals are fairly innocuous. Others are unnecessary, but some of them involve drastic changes to the IFQ program, which could result in harmful and unforeseen consequences. First and foremost, we find the proposal to eliminate the hired master provision is discriminatory and a direct attack on Washington State family wage jobs held in the Halibut and Sablefish fisheries. Washington State quota shareholders are already losing quota shareholdings. According to the 20-year review, overall the percentage of the total quota share held by Alaskans have remained relatively stable in both IFQ fisheries, while the percentage of the total quota share holdings in both fisheries have decreased for Washington resident fishermen. And furthermore, this loss of quota share holdings under the federal loan program by Washington State residents is represented in the 20-year review, where Alaska and Washington residents have been issued loans for quota share purchases or refinances every year, with the exception of 2014, when no Washington residents borrowed funds for quota share purchase. There have been several amendments to the hired master provision, including the latest, which Paul alluded to there with the 2010 sunset. And although this amendment was set to provide for more quota share availability, the subsequent result is that more initial recipients are holding on to their quota. The fact is further evidence in the 20-year review, where federal loans reached a pinnacle of 48 loans totaling over $10 million upon reaching 2010, before plummeting to 3 loans worth under $2 million in 2014, a decrease of just over 93%. Some have proposed that getting rid of the hired master provision will put more quota on the market for new entrants. However, the 20-year review states that quota availability for new entrants from severe restrictions on hired master uses in the southeast Alaska regulatory area was on par with other IFQ regulatory areas. And some have said that by eliminating the hired master provision, that it puts us all on a level playing field. And before I defend this statement, I just want you to know I'm not bashing CQs, CQEs, RQEs, or even the GAP program, but I have to bring these up because this is what second generation fishermen are competing against. Many of these entities are tax exempt entities. You're beating us by 30% right there just in the tax savings. And second of all, there's some of these entities can own more blocks than an individual. And these entities have to hire a hired master, which is something that the council seems to be, or at least it was coming out of the committee, that they want to get rid of. To me, that's hypocrisy to be saying to get rid of the hired master when yet these entities have to have a hired master. And you know, some might say the CQEs and the RQEs, well, they haven't bought anything yet, but in the event that they do, 21% of the quota can go to the CQEs, 10% into the area 3A, and 12% into 2C. So that's quota that could be potentially leaving the market for perpetuity. We may never see that again. And we could be sitting here right here again addressing the same problem of second generation quota availability. And so, although rural Alaska and their CQ communities have had quota share leave their communities, according to the 20-year review, this consequence is not surprising. Since IFQ implementation, Alaska halibut has gradually increased in fresh production, averaging 48% fresh product from 1995 to 2014, compared to 20% during the 1992 to 94 baseline. I believe this has already been touched on here today. Furthermore, as stated in the 20-year review, with a change to more fresh production of halibut, halibut processing was expected to shift from outside of Alaska into Alaska, and from remote Alaska coastal communities to those with access to road and air transportation, which would be critical in moving fresh products down the market. So what I'm trying to say here is, despite all the social engineering that we can muster, it's the isolation and the lack of roads and airports that are proving to be the Achilles heel of some of these communities. Some have said that we need to get rid of the hard master provision and initial recipients because there's not a trend towards second generation ownership. Yet not only does the 20-year review show initial recipients hold both the majority of the halibut and sablefish quota share holdings, but table 2.6-6 on page 251 shows the greatest percentage of quota held by initial recipients is just over 40% in the age 60 to 69 category, followed by the next highest percentage at just over 22% in the age 70 to 79 category. So given the information provided in this table, it seems that we could interpret an 18% decrease in initial quota share ownership through attrition by age alone without any sort of council intervention in less than 9 years, given that the information in the 20-year review is already over a year old.
Shawn, do you have a final comment?
I have several, but I guess I ended up taking longer than I thought. But I guess if I were to wrap it up in a nutshell, I'd just ask that the AP and the council take approaches into adjustments to the IFQ program with a lot of trepidation and baby steps. I mean, there's a lot of unforeseen consequences, as already pointed out, and earlier testimony has been pointed out. You know, there's been, what, six amendments to the hired master provision, and the last one, hopefully the council didn't expect those unforeseen consequences, but they were drastic. I mean, there's less quota availability now following that amendment than there was before it. So, thank you for your time.